Hello and welcome to whathifi.com. We're here today to talk about the brand new August issue of What Hi-Fi Sound and Vision, which if you're a subscriber you already have, and if not, it's out in the shops today. And it's a great issue. It's certainly one of the best of the year so far. It's got a range of the old and the new and everything that could possibly be considered hi-fi or AV. One of the really key tests in here is a head-to-head between the Cyrus Streamline and the Name Unity Qt to all-in-one hi-fi streamers, which really brings together the old and the new of hi-fi. They do everything. It's just add speakers, but they stream music from your NAS device, from your laptop, that you can use your iPhone or iPod. It literally does everything. It's the ultimate, you might say, 21st century hi-fi. And actually, they're both fantastic products, aren't they, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I mean, loads of obviously the big hi-fi companies are all going into music streaming. It's the big thing, one of the big things over the last couple of years. The Unity-Qt's been around a little while, and we've known that Cyrus has been developing this stuff. And Streamline is the first of 3 products that they're bringing out in this range. And it's a really close battle between the two. But what's really nice is that these traditional hi-fi companies are going into sort of unknown territory for them, really. But both of these products have the traditional sound and values that you'd expect from those brands. So the Cyrus is really transparent and clean and detailed. The name is a little more powerful, and it's great to see that those qualities that you'd expect from those brands are coming across in this new wave of digital products, basically.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right, because there are basically 2 kinds of people who might really buy into this sort of product. The one is the kind of the new hi-fi buyer who is sort of trained up on iPods and everything else, but can be sold up to the idea that streamed music does sound better if you use through some decent equipment. But on the other hand, you've got the traditional hi-fi buyers who expect companies like Name and Cyrus to sound like Name and Cyrus, and these products do, and that's the really brilliant thing about them.
Yeah.
But of course, it was a very close run thing. They're both 5-star products, aren't they?
They are. I mean, do we want to give it away? I'm not sure we do.
In this case, let's not, because it was so close. They're both fabulous, both 5-star products.
Absolutely.
One of them slightly edges it, but really, in this case, that's not really the point of the test.
Yeah, and I think if you're already a fan, as we've said, if you're already a fan of one of those brands and the way that their products tend to sound, then you could get that one and you'd be very, very happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you say, I mean, the values remain the values, despite the fact that this is like up to the minute technology and as you say, a little bit of a first step for some of these. The values remain the values, and just as surely as with record players or with CD players now, if you're prepared to make the investment in a premium streamer, then you can achieve better quality and better sound, just in the same way as if you bought a more expensive system 30 years ago.
Yeah. Now, talking of sort of new tech type of products that really are sounding nowadays like real proper hi-fi in a way that we never really previously imagined they could, we also have a major test of premium iPod docks around the £500 mark. And really, it must be said that just a few years ago, we wouldn't have imagined an iPod dock could sound as good as really any of the 5 products in this test. No. It really is. It's a very competitive and important, vibrant area right now. And some really likeable kit.
Yeah, I think the original BMW Zeppelin has got has caused a lot of this.
That was the trailblazer, wasn't it?
Exactly, and of course that was updated just a few months ago. Looks the same. You wouldn't want to change the image of the thing, and but it does a lot more, and they've changed a lot inside it, and that's gone up against the RCam,
which we also liked a lot,
which was our award winner last year. So we've had the new BMW award-winning RCam, but interestingly, you've got this Geneva in there, which really does throw a cat amongst the pigeons. It's a really interesting product. It's arguably not as feature laden as the other 2, but for sound quality, it's really hard to beat.
Yes, I mean the thing about the Geneva is that it's got a neat wireless solution that you can buy with it, but it doesn't come wireless out of the box like the Zeppelin Air, which of course does include AirPlay, which for a lot of people, there's a lot to be said for the simplicity and the ease of an AirPlay type product. But it must be said that in pure sound performance, the Geneva was the Model M was something of a revelation.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And plus, of course, unlike a lot of the Geneva docks we've had, it's only the sort of similar size. It's halfway between an R-Cube and a Zeppelin, whereas the Geneva docks we've had in the past we've admired have been really, really big, haven't they?
Do you remember the XL?
Do you remember
Yes.
that? Absolutely massive. It needed its own postcode and everything. But now that
It looks a little bit like one of the droids out of the early scene
Yeah.
in Star Wars: A New
Yes.
Hope on
Yeah.
Tatooine,
Yeah.
you know, with the Jawas.
But they've managed to sort of rein that in and deliver a product that bears comparison to other people's products.
Yes.
But all of the things that you admire about the performance are all there
Yeah.
in those same proportions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And of course, it's also got the Bose Sound Dock 10, which we reviewed before, and liked a lot in terms of sound, but gave it a slightly lukewarm review because it was so expensive at £700. But now that it's come down to just £550, it's competitive. And there's
The
Philips,
Philips,
as well.
which everybody is currently seeing all over the country in Liam Gallagher's mouth.
Indeed.
That's the one from the posters at the moment. That they're using to launch this whole new range
Yes.
of docks. So
I've heard that they're going to rename that early Oasis song "Cigarettes and Alcohol" and Philips iPod docks.
he wouldn't he?
Yeah, if the money was right.
Well, clearly on current form.
Yeah.
And they've got Carl Barat out
Yeah.
toting their iPod docks, which so they've got a big marketing campaign behind it. The product sounds really good.
Yeah.
There's lots
Looks
to say for
great
it.
also.
Yeah.
I mean, this is important. I don't think anyone drops £500 on an iPod dock without thinking, what's that going to look like in
Yeah,
the front
absolutely,
room?
Yeah,
And,
absolutely true. Yeah.
Philips looks a bit as well.
Yeah, yeah. But so from all that new tech, of course, there's some really good traditional hi-fi in the issue as well. We've got a really, really good speaker test of sort of budget, but just kind of first upgrade around the £200 mark, and some brilliant products in that test.
First notch up. Dali Zensa 1s, which we first tested a month ago, 2 months ago. Anyway, they went very, very well.
Yeah.
Mission MX2s, which are the bigger brothers of something that we gave an award to last year. Then new products from Acoustic Energy and from Boston, who are having a sort of a rebirth. Loads of new products from them. These are the first that we've had.
Yeah,
These are all around the £200 mark, and they're all excellent.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Everyone deserves an upgrade from the stuff that came with their microsystem. This is the
Indeed.
place to start.
Yes, it's really interesting to see what's happening with Boston actually, because the designer Kenny Shiwata, who is very well known and associated with the Marantz brand, has really taken on Boston Acoustics as in terms of developing their products and a whole new range of things. So
Sure.
his whole design expertise is now going there. So
Well, I think
we look forward to
sonically you
seeing some really new
can
stuff,
sort
you
of
know.
detect that even at £200. These Boston A25s are £200 a pair, and I think it's possible to detect the hand of Ken in these a little bit. Yeah.
yes, you can hear it, can't you?
Yeah.
And of course, no issue of what Hi-Fi Sound Vision would be complete without a major test of large flat screen TVs, because essentially we love them. And this one is no exception. We've got a really great test of big 50-inch sets.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to say that one brand does kind of dominate now. at
Yeah,
this
and
size.
actually, I mean, it's sort of started to emerge as the pattern for this year.
They
I mean,
are on a roll, aren't
Panasonic have really pulled out the bag this year,
Yeah.
at least
they? Thus
on
far.
current evidence.
Very much unlike last year, in fact.
Very much unlike that. I mean, for the last couple of years, I think it's fair to say, they've had a couple of products that have done very, very well, but largely, I think they've been there or thereabouts without really being totally spectacular. And I think it's looking, at least at this point, like this is a completely different scenario. Of the 6 tellies, we'll give this away a little bit. You'd argue that the 2 Panasonics, there are 2 out of the 6 tellies are Panasonics. You'd argue those 2 are the best in the test. Admittedly, one of those is the most expensive in the test, but there you go. They really have it all. But I think what's really encouraging about the test is that 6 screens, 50 to actually 55, because Sony aren't doing 50 to 52 this year. So 50 to 55, all 3D. The cheapest one is £710.
Wow.
Which is astonishing.
Yeah.
And all 3D, the 3D is generally much, much better than last year.
Better than last year.
There have been big improvements.
Yeah.
I think what else is interesting about the Super Test is the Sony. And that's because this year, they've been a little bit slower in getting samples over to us. The tellies we have seen, at least until the end of the Super Test, we were starting to think maybe this isn't a year for Sony. They've been good, a solid 4 stars, but they've not quite been all that you might expect from the brand. And so at the end of the Super Test, we're thinking, this isn't looking that great for Sony. And then you go back to the beginning of the magazine. One of the last things we looked at was the the top of the range HX923.
Yes, and that's the lead first test, isn't it? And it was one of the very last products we tested in the mag before we actually went to press. And actually, it's a bit of a masterpiece, isn't it?
It's absolutely terrific, and you realise that maybe there were a couple of products in this year's Sony range that aren't perfect, but this HX, it's their flagship model. All of their new technology is chucked into this thing, and it really is superb. So it's really interesting now to see. It looks like you can pick a winner or a loser in the Sony range this year, maybe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So Panasonic does have more of a battle than it was looking like. But
I think it looks like this year is a year when there's certainly no one dominant brand. It's very much dependent on screen size and particular models as to where the best buy is going to be. But of course, very quickly, while we're on the subject of first test, the other thing that's worth saying is we finally got a review of the new Samsung smartphone, the Galaxy S2. And of course, the Galaxy S readers of the mag will know we preferred in a group test to the iPhone 4, and this is the successor to that. And the simple news is that it's even better. It's a really until the iPhone 5 comes out for sure. This is the smartphone to go to.
This is the default choice now. The audio's better than the Galaxy One, video's better than the Galaxy One, and they were already our preferred.
Yeah, exactly. So the iPhone 5 is going to have to go some actually to beat it, which is
we were having sort of it was one of those products that sort of went around the office a little bit, and everyone had a go on it because it's quite, it's a massive screen, and it's got quite stupidly interesting games on it and stuff like that, and it is kind of one that was passed around. It's quite exciting, and everyone's looking at it thinking, yeah, I wonder about trading in the iPhone for one of these. But yeah, I mean, iPhone 5, is it on the way? We think so.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, you can never tell with Apple.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the issue in a nutshell. It's a really great one. So if you don't have a copy already, go out and buy it right now. And you may not have noticed, but we're already giving you a very little sneak preview of the next issue, the September issue, because you can see behind me this enormous Panasonic TV.
Yeah, that's the 65-inch VT30. So their absolute flagship model for this year.
Flagship Panasonic TV.
And these B&W speakers. This is the CM9 series, which is part of the Ultimate Guide.
Yes, exactly.
Which is bundled with the next issue of the magazine.
Indeed, yes. So go out there if you haven't already and get the August issue, and we're working on the September issue now, and we'll be back to talk about that in about a month's time, right here on whathifi.com.